Alright, here's the thing. If you were somebody that was hoping that the new 2021 Mazda 3 Turbo would be a true successor to the Mazda Speed 3 that went away in 2013, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. Here's the thing with Mazda. They see themselves as a step above Honda, Toyota, Nissan, Volkswagen, Hyundai, and all the other mainstream brands, and I kind of agree with that mentality because they are definitely a bit more refined. That unfortunately means that cars like the Mazda Speed 3 and the Mazda Speed 6 are just too boyish for their luxury ambitions. They want to be seen more like Audi, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz. Of course, they're not, and that seems to be the case with every other mainstream brand these days. Look at Kia. They want to compete with all the German luxury brands. They even compare the Kia Stinger to the Porsche Panamera and the Audi A7. That has to stop. I'll be okay if you just say, hey, we're close to Audi, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz, but we're not them. And that's the thing with Mazda. They're not lining up the Mazda 3 Turbo alongside the Audi A3 and the BMW 2 Series Grand Coupe. By the way, have you seen that thing? That thing looks hideous. Or the Mercedes-Benz CLA. They're just saying, hey, we're in between those mainstream brands and those luxury brands. That being said, today I'll give you a tour of the 2021 Mazda 3 2.5 Turbo Hatchback, and then I'll give you my opinion on what I think about it. But before I do, make sure you hit subscribe, because I do this at least once a week where I talk to the camera. Sometimes I even do it 2 times a week. So hit subscribe so you don't miss anything. All right, let's do this. Alright, so let's kick it off with all the cool and interesting things that you should know about the new Mazda 3 Turbo. And since this is a high-performance Mazda 3, let's kick it off by listening to the exhaust sound. Alright, so that was a little bit disappointing. I wish Mazda went a little bit more aggressive, but I guess that would have been too boyish and young for them since they have luxury brand ambitions. The Mazda 3 Turbo gets a 360 view camera and it's crystal clear. I'm really happy to see that because the previous Mazda 3s only came with a really low-res rear view camera, which wasn't that exciting. So let's talk about looks for a second. Is the Mazda 3 Turbo more stylish and aggressive than the regular Mazda 3? Well, kind of, and only if you go for the hatchback. If you go for the Mazda 3 Turbo hatchback, you'll get a new front air dam, a rear roof spoiler, which isn't obnoxiously big, an upgraded rear diffuser, and side sill extensions. They look pretty cool. The sedan only gets a front lower spoiler and a rear lip spoiler. Keep in mind though, all those hatchback stylish upgrades are only available if you go for the Premium Plus 3 Turbo trim, and even then you can add on an appearance package for $1,075 and that will give you an upgraded rear skirt and upgraded side sill extensions. What all Mazda 3 Turbos do get as standard option when it comes to the looks are these awesome 18-inch BBS black wheels, and they look really, really cool. I like these wheels a lot. All right, before we move on, I do want to point out my favorite design touch on the Mazda 3 Turbo, and it's these indicators on the back. They look very, very cool. They are basically 4 little LED dots, and they look super bright. I think that's a really nice touch. All right, so let's talk about pricing for a second. The Mazda 3 2.5 Turbo starts off at $29,900 if you go for the base sedan. And if you go for the base hatchback, you're looking at $30,900. If you go for the Premium Plus hatchback, that's the most expensive at $33,750. As tested here, you're looking at about $36,000. Let's talk about power and performance. Power comes from a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine making 250 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque, and it's mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission. You can't get this with a 6-speed manual, unfortunately. Check out that Sky Active G turbo badge. Pretty dope. That means 0 to 60 comes in at 5.8, 5.9 seconds with a top speed of 134 miles an hour. That 0 to 60 time isn't bad at all, actually. When it comes to drive modes, and I love this about Mazdas, you only have 2 modes, off and sport. That's really all you need in life. You don't need eco or anything else. You just need off and sport when you want to go fast. When it comes to fuel economy, you get 23 city and 31 highway. You have a tiny 12.7 gallon tank capacity, which only gives you 250 miles on a full tank of gas. I'm averaging, after a couple days of driving, a total of 22.7 miles a gallon. Not bad. Now, we've already talked a lot about the design upgrades of the Mazda 3 Turbo, so I'm not going to dive too deep here, but I do want to know, if you went for the 3 Turbo, would you get it as a sedan or a hatchback? Let me know in the comments below. Personally, I would go for the hatchback over the sedan because I love hatchbacks. In my opinion, this one is more stylish than other hatchbacks out there. Looks better than the Volkswagen Golf GTI in my opinion, but a lot of you will probably disagree. I do wish they made it look a little bit more aggressive, but I guess again, they're going for that whole luxury look, and adding anything close to extremely stylish would have been too childish. Not only is the snow making things difficult to film today, but the birds are out in full force today, so I'm just going to ignore them. So let's check out the cargo capacity of the Mazda 3 Turbo Hatchback. You can open it with the keys or the button right here under the Mazda logo. And once you get it open, you have 20 cubic feet behind the second row. And with the second row folded, you get 47 cubic feet. And that's what makes hatchbacks so awesome. This is not an automatic closing trunk, but you do have a lock button here. So you can just push that and close the trunk, and it will just lock itself automatically once you walk away. Now let's hop inside and check out the interior, because this is where you see Mazda's luxury ambitions really come alive. Everything in here is made with really high quality materials. You have leather, fake leather, soft touch materials all around. There's no hard plastic anywhere where your eyes can see. Even here, this is leather wrapped. You have really nice stitching all around this car. This Bose speaker looks really cool. Hard plastic is nowhere to be found. Even in areas where you would expect there to be hard plastic is wrapped in fake leather, and soft touch. This is a very high quality interior for this segment. And that's the thing about Mazdas, right? They have one of the best interiors of any mainstream brand. And that's just not my opinion. Those are just straight facts. This really feels like the interior of a Lexus rather than a Honda, Toyota, Nissan, or whatever. Now check out these seats. These are really nice seats, and they're very comfortable. I really like the red leather trim here. The Mazda 3 Turbo comes standard with heated front seats, and you also get a heated steering. Since this is all-wheel drive and it's meant for cold weather states, you got to keep warm. You also get a power moonroof as standard. You don't get a panoramic sunroof on Mazda 3s. When it comes to rear legroom, you're working with about 35.1 inches. I'm about 6 foot tall. That's my seating position, and I'm being generous here. There is no legroom at all. I'm being generous with my seat position. If you want more legroom, you can just sit behind the passenger and get all the legroom you want. You don't have any vents, you don't have heated rear seats or any place to charge your phone, so that's kind of weird. Now let's dive into the tech really quick, starting off with the gauge cluster. You don't get a full digital gauge cluster display. The center is digital. It's about 7 inches in screen size, and it has some info that you can circle through. It's very crisp, very nice, nothing too fancy here, and I don't expect it to be that fancy at all in this segment. The Mazda Connect infotainment system is housed in this 8-inch display. It's not a touchscreen because Mazda doesn't believe in touchscreens. They believe touchscreen displays take the driver's attention off the road for too long, so you have to use this iDrive knob style control down here. It's not difficult. The infotainment system overall is pretty easy to use. You do have Apple CarPlay, you do have Android Auto, so that's a big plus. Once you get used to it, it's a very simple and easy system to go through. You can pay extra for this native navigation system, but I don't recommend it since you do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. You don't really need this. I'd rather use Apple CarPlay and Google Maps. Now, before I give you my opinion on how it is to drive the Mazda 3 Turbo, let me point out a few random things that I love to show all of you. You have 4 cup holders, 2 right here in the front for the front passengers, and 2 right in the back under the center armrest. Again, you don't get a USB charging port or vents back here. That's kind of disappointing. Here are the keys for the Mazda 3 Turbo Hatchback. Very nice keys. I like the design of the new Mazda keys. By the way, I was wrong. You cannot pop the trunk with the remote. You only have lock, unlock, and panic. So that's kind of weird. Let's hear the door open and close sound. Let's hop in. Unlocked from the outside and from the inside. Nice, pretty solid. Now, when it comes to the charging game, you have a USB port right there in the front. Then you have one here in the center armrest, which you have to slide back, then pull open. There's another USB port. If you want a wireless charger, it's a dealer installed accessory for an additional $275. Here's something kind of funny, but a little bit annoying. You have 2 driver's seat memory buttons right here, but they could have given you a third one, but they decided not to. They just decided to leave a corny blank button there and a place to put your coins. So that's nice, but I would have loved to have an extra button here for the memory seats. Why is that so hard? Last but not least, let's hear how the horn sounds on the 2021 Mazda 3 2.5 Turbo. Oh wow, I did not expect that. I expected it to be very corny and cheap sounding, but that's really nice. And now that I've given you a tour of the 2021 Mazda 3 Turbo, let me give you my opinion on what I think about it. All right, let's get to it. All right, fully stopped in sport mode, and let's just hit the gas and see how it does. Oh wow, not bad at all. That's pretty exciting, actually. I like it. Good job. All right, so is the new Mazda 3 Turbo reminiscent of the Mazda Speed 3? Yes, but not really. It definitely doesn't have that theatrical torque steer from the Mazda Speed 3, which I really miss, to be honest, and that's because Mazda thinks those things are just too young and boyish for their luxury ambitions. The Mazda 3 Turbo is hoping to be a tuner car for grown-ups who want a luxury compact car but still want some nice power under the hood. This thing will do 0 to 60 in about 5.9 seconds, and that makes it slightly quicker than the Volkswagen Golf GTI. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with a 6-speed manual because Mazda doesn't think there's enough demand for it, and I also don't think there's enough demand for it. People out there really buy manual transmissions, and that's kind of sad. They did upgrade the 6-speed automatic transmission to better handle the extra horsepower and torque, and I noticed one thing: when you hit the accelerator all the way down, it clicks and it drops a gear or two so you can accelerate a little bit faster. I've seen that happen on other sports cars. It's nice to see it here in the Mazda 3 Turbo. So how does it drive? Surprisingly, really nice and pretty fun. Acceleration is very strong, and Mazda's handling is one of the best of any mainstream brand. Honestly, I'd buy this over the Volkswagen Golf GTI. If you go for the Volkswagen Golf GTI with an automatic transmission, you're looking at over $30,000, but you don't get all-wheel drive. The Mazda 3 Turbo also starts over $30,000, and it comes standard with all-wheel drive. Honestly, I'd even get this over the Grandpa Subaru WRX. Not to mention, you can also get the Mazda 3 Turbo in a sedan or a hatchback like I'm driving here. So what about the luxury brands that Mazda hopes to compete with? Would I buy this over the Audi A3, the BMW 228i xDrive, and the Mercedes-Benz CLA 220 4MATIC? I would get it over the BMW for sure because that thing just looks hideous. I would think twice about getting it over the Audi S3, and I would definitely get the Mercedes-Benz CLA 220 over the Mazda 3 Turbo. Overall, the Mazda 3 Turbo is an awesome car. Is it pricey for a Mazda 3? Of course, definitely yes. Will you have something with great quality and long-term reliability? Of course. By the way, if you're looking for something with a higher ride height, you can get the Mazda CX-30 Turbo, which also has this 2.5-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine in it, and that starts around $29,000. So if you want something with a higher ride height, go for that. The CX-30 is just a raised up Mazda 3 hatchback. Either way, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you hit like, make sure you share my content with your friends that also enjoy cars, and you can also follow me on Instagram and on TikTok at Omar Drives. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Peace.